Transmission override detected. The DFS Outsider is now in control. I repeat. The DFS Outsider is now in control. Access granted in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The DFS Outsider starts now.
I just want all of the money.
Do you know what I said? I gotta get the dinero, the cash, and the bread.
Money. Do you know?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Outside the Box, Inside the Money. I'm your host, Jay Stanley, the DFS Outsider. It's going to be a great day here. We're just a few hours before lock and the start of the Firekeepers Casino 400 at Michigan Motor Speedway. We saw some very fast speeds in qualifying yesterday. Hocevar and Hamlin up front. Hamlin with the top time, but they're approaching 196 miles an hour. This track is fast. They got a new little tire set up. We saw 3 cars with left side issues in the practice run. So that's definitely something to look forward to here in today's race. They're trying to offset the wear on the tire, so they added a little rubber, I believe, to the right side. But what we saw was some teams trying to throw some aggressive tire setups, tire pressures, and that possibly led to the issue. I don't see anything any different in the race. I think this is something that definitely could come into factor. But let's talk about the track. 18-degree bankings. It's not anything like you're going to see at Daytona or Talladega, but the straightaways are long. They're sweeping the corners at very high speeds. There's lots of racing room all over the track. It's a very wide track, D-shaped oval, and it's going to provide what Michigan provides, and that's one hell of a race. And I'm really excited, not just from a fan perspective, but from a DFS perspective as well. I think this race is a little more open than you might see at a more like a specialist track. But with that being said, this is not a dominator type track. So we're not really going to be seeing, and at least I don't think we're going to be seeing one car go out there and just flat out dominate this race. We have a lot of tire fall off. We've got long run, short run speeds. We got a track that people can pass. There is a little bit of drafting that can go on. So I believe you're going to see multiple leaders, multiple lead changes. And what it's going to come down to, that overvalues, I think, the starting position bonus. Being able to move forward is definitely going to be a little heavier weighted here. If you look, let's go ahead and switch over here to the screen, and you see very competitive pricing. It's almost like literally tiered down. Denny Hamlin, like I said, winning the pole. We do get some value with Carson Hocevar starting second, a lot cheaper at $8,700. I think he's going to be insanely popular this week. But let's go to my website. This is TheDfsOutsider.com. Appreciate if you check it out before we even get into it. I do NASCAR, NFL, and PGA content. I do an article for each stop, and this is something I've worked very hard upon. One of the cool things about my NASCAR articles is I come up with a data table. So basically, it gives you their name, their salary, where they're starting from, their average finishing position, how many laps they've led. This is over the last 3 races here at the track. Their driver rating as compiled on driveraverages.com. And these are the amount of stage points they received in the last 3 races. And then what I do is I score these points from 1 to 4, 4 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. So like 1st through 10th will get 4 points, 11th through 19th will get 3, 20th through 29 will get 2, 30 to the back of the field will get 1 point. Obviously, reverse that for starting position. You get bonuses for starting in the rear of the field. So this just gives you a snapshot of kind of like where the driver kind of stands at the track. So interesting enough, you'll see in my data chart here that a lot of mid-price guys, in fact, all mid-price guys through the first 6 positions before you drop down and see your studs. Now, is that indicative of race wins or anything? No, this is just, I would say, overall what they've done here. So, like Brad starting in the back, he finishes well here. He's led a decent amount of laps. He's got a good driver rating, got lots of stage points, and him and Chris Buescher are shown at the top. So this is very interesting just for construction purposes. I think this week it's going to be important for several of these drivers to get into your lineup, especially some of these guys that start from the rear. I think that really, so Brad and Ross, obviously, Ryan Blaney, Bowman and Cindric, and then down to like Preece, Barry, those guys, maybe Van Giesbergen, throw him into the mix. And that's kind of like that. So there's, and Connor Zillage, always an X factor. He's never raced here. So throughout the data points for the actual racing, but he is starting at the rear of the field at a very cheap price point. He can only move forward. So if this guy gets a top 20, he's most likely going to have to be in the starting lineup. I'd say there's a solid chance for that happening. So on to construction. So before we leave here, I want to show you our Denny Hamlin right here. Okay, so he is going to go down to the people who start up near the front are not going to always be at the top of the table, so it's a little skewed. So if you look, he's only 5 points down. He'd probably, if you threw out the starting position, he would be right here in the front. He's shown a lot of speed, very interesting plays, racing super confidently. The Toyotas have won here the last 2 years. I believe he does have a very good chance of winning this race. Ryan Blaney is probably the price at this price point for the elite tier, like over 10,000, starting in the 19th position. Gotta like it, man. Gotta like it. He's led some laps here. He's got some great stage points here. I think he can overcome that starting the qualifying run and do quite well. Ty Gibbs has shown a lot of promise here. Kyle Larson is Kyle Larson. He's good at every track, let's be honest. I would say his season has been kind of mediocre by his standards. Definitely has not put it all together yet this season. I think this is a track where he could definitely get back on track and find himself in victory lane. Tyler Reddick, same thing. He's just the opposite here. Has had a completely insane season. Maybe a little the real, just probably one of the best starts in NASCAR history, if not the best start to a season. So super excited for him to possibly starting in the 3rd position. He is somebody that could get into the lineup. So let's talk about lineup construction. Let's go over here to the DraftKings slate. This is just, it doesn't even matter what tournament it is. I just want to point out some things. So, I like to look here and just kind of say, oh, this stands out. This stands out. Guys that are just not starting. Roush Chastain, not been a great season for him, qualifying or racing-wise. I don't even believe he's in the chase as we speak. I think he's on the bubble right there, right off of it, or he's either like 16th or 17th or 18th or something. He's one of those 3 positions. So, but you got to like upside. Starting in 32nd, Ross Chastain is a great race car driver. Keselowski, we showed at the top of our leaderboard. He is going to probably be one of my biggest pieces. I really like how Daniel Suarez has been racing. But you're looking for guys that can move forward. So a lot of people start with their build up top. And I think that bottlenecks you into certain type of constructions because you're like, boom, boom, boom. Oh, now I only have this much, so I'm going to have these guys. So I kind of think of like, okay, I definitely want Blaney in a lineup. You could start at the top, but I think of my core piece right here starting there. That moves our average salary to 8,400. Let's throw in Austin Cindric at 31. I need one more guy maybe from the back. Maybe a Connor Zilic is kind of an interesting play. Now look at what that does. Now we're up to 9,600. So now I can kind of figure out who I want at the top. And to be honest with you, he could win, he could win, he could win, he could win. Christopher Bell's not shown great promise of this track. He's going to be a great leverage play. When I say great leverage play, I'm just meaning he's just going to be low owned, and you get a talented race car driver in a Toyota that has not had great luck at this track and could definitely do well. Same with Chase Briscoe. Be said about Chase Briscoe. William Byron has led a lot of laps and done quite well here. In fact, I like him to be thrown in there. So now we're sitting at 9,900. So let's say we do throw Blaney, or let's say Reddick or whatever. So we don't have anybody kind of near the front here. Let's throw Larson in. I think he's got a good chance. Now what that does for us here is we all have potential moving forward. Do we feel like maybe we might have a dominator in this race? Maybe, maybe not. I'm going to stay away from the top two in this particular lineup because I have two inside the top 10. So I'm going to throw Chris Buescher in here at 8,900. It saves us 400 in salary. There you see it. This is like my idea of kind of like a typical approach to how I build a lineup. So let's clear that out. And let's just look at what it does when we build from the top. So let's say we really like Denny Hamlin, okay? Let's say we think he's going to go lead 60 or 70 laps and win the race, which means he would be in the optimal lineup most likely, pretty definitely, I would say. And let's build top down. Oh, we like him. We also like Blaney, for the moving up. I think a lot of people are going to start like this. So this is what it does. And now look, we're already down to 7,200, okay? So I think this is going to be one of the most popular starting points for lineups, and this is how people will do it by clicking those two names. So that pretty much already eliminates, anybody, let's say over, like 9,000 really. I mean, if we put in William Byron too, look what that does. We're down. We're talking down here. I mean, you could throw a Josh Berry in, a Connor Zilic, and look, we still have 7,600. I can fit in an Alex Bowman. Zane Smith's had a great great finishing positions here, but he has no stage points, which I thought was an anomaly. So he's done well late in the races here at 6,800. But let's say we just throw Ryan Preece in there, okay, to get another guy in the back. So that's kind of like, this is actually a pretty, lineup that could win. But you're probably going to split this lineup with literally at least 10 people. I mean, in my opinion, that's what I think about that type of build. So how do you get a little bit different? Obviously the first way is to leave money on the table. Let's build from the bottom up. So like I look at this, so you can look at a lineup like this. All right, who at the bottom? And obviously it could be a big wreck. Some guys could move forward, have guys with issues, penalties, and a guy that starts in the back of the field could, finish 22nd and, possibly be on the low end, especially at this low price point. If we get a lot of our studs to run with him and they all end up in the optimal, that's a possibility, but not it's kind of a far reach. It's not something that I shoot for in my lineups. I'm not really feeling Custer starting at 15th. Ty Dillon might be the first one that I may have minimal exposure to, along with Gregson. But Gilliland has not shown that he can. He has not had good luck and done well here. But he is Todd Gilliland. I mean, this is a fast track. This is a place where I think people just look at the results, and he has not done well here, and they'll probably stay off of him. But let's start with him, okay? And then let's put Connor Zilic in there. So we got two guys near the rear of the field already in our lineups. Now look what this does for our construction by starting at the bottom. We're at 9,600. So let's throw Brad or Ross or both. Let's put both in there. Now look at this. Boom, boom. Or even boom, boom. Whoopsies, hold on. Denny Hamlin and Ryan Blaney in here and build it this way. Now you're leaving $1,300 on the table. And this is definitely something, if you're going to have these two guys in the lineup, this is a pretty sexy way to do it. Like, in my opinion, because $1,300 left on the table, you're probably not going to be splitting. Maybe you might catch bad luck and somebody who's sharp can do something similar, and but still, this is a good way to attack, having a lot of money left on the table. If you're not super stoked about that, let's say you could leave Zilic out. Let's throw these same guys back in there. Let's throw them with Kyle Larson, Hamlin and Larson, and that leaves us 7,200. You could throw an Alex Bowman in there. Let's go all the way down to Ricky Stenhouse. Leave $700. Guarantee you this is probably a unique build. Definitely a lineup that could succeed here at Michigan. So I'm very interested in, first and foremost, the way I play, I like to play lower stakes. I do throw stabs into some bigger tournaments, but the core of my play. So like a lot of people play cash game lineups. I do not play cash game lineups. I like to stick to GPPs. I like the big prizes. I like the consistency of what I do and how I understand the variance involved in GPP play, especially these low 50 cent, $1, $3, $5 tournaments. You know, they have some good prizes at the end. I mean, like, $5,000, $20,000, $10,000. These are definitely good targets for me. Football, I won $15,000 off 50 cents this past season. I still put a little bit of exposure into the millionaires, maybe a few lineups in. But I think people who, if you don't have a super large bankroll, I'm a realist. I know that I play kind of in a wacky way. I leave a lot of money on the table. I play outsider plays. I play low-owned plays. I play leverage plays. My leverage this week, obviously, is going to be Christopher Bell. I think he's going to be the lowest owned. And maybe Briscoe. These two guys are going to be super low-owned in this mix. Those are guys, so I'll be over ownership on those guys, and a lot of weeks it won't come through, but when it does come through and it does hit, it separates me big time from the rest of the field. So I don't do like, I'm gonna full fade the most popular play. I just might be a little more underweight, or I could go nuts and be overweight. It's just kind of like the angle. Like I try to decipher. NASCAR has a lot more volatility than let's say like PGA or something like that. So actually PGA has a lot of volatility too. Really, all sports have a lot of volatility, but there are some like consistencies. Like you can pretty much count on Scotty Scheffler, to be there. So if you play him, I just don't. I'm not a safe guy. So if I were to take a stand, which I have done in weeks where I'm just playing an insane amount of Scotty, I'm mixing in a lot of funky stuff with it, because that's how you win. It's how you separate yourself and be different. I don't like chopping with other people. I don't want to be splitting. You don't win all too often, and when you do win, you want the whole kit and caboodle. So that's my philosophy. That's what I think on that. So as far as this week goes, I have some sweats for golf this week. I'm hoping that I had something like, I know it's a smaller field, but I had something like 50 or 60 lineups to make all six through with a lot. I have a lot of guys hovering in the top 100. So today is just going to be a matter of the right thing going down. So let's talk about this here. So I play about 200 lineups. So let's say I play anywhere between 50 and max entering the 50 cents. I usually max entry like the $1 or the $3. Sometimes I'll throw 20 or 30 entries into the $5. So I'm playing anywhere between 100 and 200 plus lineups per week. So my thoughts are just build lineups that I don't give a shit about the floor. I don't give a shit I don't play cash games, so that thought process doesn't even enter my brain, because a cash game or 50-50 or heads up, that type of mentality is a completely different game. Completely. Yes, you analyze projections. Yes, you look at all the data and the stats and, the deep metrics. However, just the construction build philosophy should be completely different. So my thoughts are, I want to play a lot of lineups. It's why I play lower stakes. Gives me an opportunity, gives me exposure to opportunity. And when I say opportunity, is high upside guys that can smash, guys that can move forward in NASCAR, guys that can dominate a race, guys that are super low owned, and I'm going to take a stab at them, take a leverage stance, all these type of things, right? I want opportunity. I build every single lineup by hand and with a purpose. I'm either leaving, if it's a little bit chalkier, I'm going to leave some money on the table. If it's not so chalky, I still might leave money on the table. But I just look for, leverage spots and just different mindsets for NASCAR, pairing Toyotas together, pairing Fords, pairing Chevys. These type of things, manufacturers tend to work together sometimes in NASCAR at the end of these races, but super excited about this week. Like I said, I'm not a traditional picks guy. I do put guys that I'm over, under, whatever, and Frankie always talks about his fade of the week, so that's kind of something exciting that we do here, is just focus more on the mindset. So the DFS Outsider mindset. Speaking of which, I'm working behind the scenes right now on a whole library video series of just different things. So if you're a player who does not, have not tasted a lot of success and not a lot of wins, you're struggling in mediocrity, you get excited about min caches and stuff like that, and you're looking to elevate your game, this series will attack every single aspect of the DFS world. And it goes from money management to tournament selection to analyzing old results, analyzing the previous races, going back and looking at the tournaments that you're entered and looking at the winning lineups and seeing kind of like how that team or roster came to winning the tournament. Talking about leverage, talking about opportunity, talking about injuries, weather, talking about just how to really just start your process. So that'll be a whole video just explaining like my week and kind of like what I do for a particular sport and where my starting points are, and how I interpret data. So data is available to everyone. AI is available to everyone. Optimizers and sims are available to anyone. You want to go pay a little bit of money, get on a site and let the computer crunch all the numbers for you and spit out some lineups. Hey, you can customize it. If you're really sharp, maybe you can use the tool in a manner different than the herd. But the herd generally is looking to like get the best possible guys who have the highest percent chance of getting into the lineup and stuff them all into the lineup together. Yeah, so, that's great. But think about how many other people do that. And that's kind of, I think, a good tool for knowledge. And I use stuff like that just for the sense of just understanding where the herd is probably going to be, so I can pivot off of that. And some of it is not as obvious as you would think, like a lot of times. But I like to look at different media sources. I like to look at different websites. I do subscribe to a few places just to see what their articles, see where their people are going, see where, and kind of build a consensus and go, okay, this is going to be what's super chalky, super popular. Then evaluate kind of like, hey, what's the good chalk here? What's the bad chalk? All right, so if I'm going to play these guys, how am I going to be different, and how am I going to separate myself and get leverage on the field. So that's my mentality. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm not going to go long-winded into all my mindset. Just want to let you know, please visit TheDfsOutsider.com. Read my news articles. I'm always down for feedback. You can email me. You can contact me through the website. Support me by liking this video. Subscribe to my channels. This is something, so the shows are going to be more consistent and something that I'm going to be doing. I plan on doing Saturday night show, maybe a Sunday morning show for NASCAR. I don't know how that's going to work during football season, but I'm definitely going to be all in for football with a couple shows per week, probably a Thursday night show, and possibly either another Saturday and or Sunday show. And I'm still going to do the content. I love golf. I'm still going to be like firing away at golf and NASCAR. I might tone it down just a hair and swing my focus a little bit more towards NFL or have a little more balanced approach. But with that being said, this is what I do. I'm going to be here in the lab, in the studio, working hard. I'm going to be setting specific times on a schedule of when I do my research, when I do my lineup builds for each sport. And I'm just going to be talking to you guys. And believe me when I tell you, I'm experienced. I've been doing this shit since back in the day. I used to call my lineups into the sporting news. I have great ambitions for my website. I'm going to be adding a community message board. This is not going to be a site where you're going to get a bunch of data tools and these type of things. This is content. This is going to be me trying to be entertaining, trying to be fun, trying to help you guys become better DFS players. And if you take this serious, and if you're not just some casual person, or if you are a casual person and you're looking to do better, I want you to know that you can do it. It takes balls. You gotta have the balls. You gotta do it. You gotta have the balls to stones to play uglier plays. You have to be consistent in your methods. You have to stick to your guns. Don't go by short-term results. Opportunity is repeatable. Put yourself. That's what my mindset is. Put ourselves in position to have high upside plays and have the opportunity to have a chance. And it only takes one. You don't have to win often. Win a tournament here and there, and your ROI will be through the roof. Okay, if you are smart with your money, and you're like, this is the problem. A lot of people, let's say they win 15 grand. I'm withdrawing $12,000 or $13,000 into my bank, leaving a couple grand in, and I'm not increasing my stakes. I'm just going right back to the lab and just doing what I do. And another one will hit, and another one will hit. They might be months apart. They might be weeks apart. They might be in the same weekend. It just, when it happens, and you got to stomach the variance, the swings. And I kind of have the same approach to when I play poker. When I play poker and I go to a table, I don't chop tournaments. I'm the type of guy, I'll give you the short stack down to 5, and they're all begging for a chop. No, dude, I came here to win. I didn't come here to split it with you guys. So that's how I roll, and I play aggressively in poker. I play aggressively in DFS. So here it is. There it goes. It's been fun talking to you. Like I said, I have a Ko-Fi on my page. If you want to support my channel, like right now, I spent a lot of money building my site, and I'm literally not working right now. I'm doing this full time. This is the beginning of it. This is where we go. Any support and love you can give me, any feedback, I value that just as much. Just like if you want to talk to me, you want to powwow, you can, I'm going to be setting up my Discord here as well too. I got to learn a little bit more about it. I'm not super savvy about the Discord. So if there's anyone out there that is super knowledgeable about that and how I can implement it, I'm just working on my game plan right now, getting comfortable behind the camera. I've got decent equipment. I spent a lot of time, I painted my room and got all this stuff and got a new computer rig and basically dumped a pretty big gamble into this whole thing. So, and that's just because I love this. It's what I do. I'm successful at it. And quite frankly, this is what I want to do with my life. So thank you for your support. I'm Jay Stanley, the DFS Outsider. And remember, it only takes We'll see you.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to.